Content warning. This podcast contains bones, blood, smut, and swear words.
Before we get into the good shit this week, we wanted to remind you that we've launched a Patreon. What that means is just for a few bucks per month, you can get extended games, brand new content, access to our notes and murder boards, etc., like extra stuff. So if you'd like to be part of sponsoring Hannah's ever-growing collection of bone earrings, because that's her thing, you can head to patreon.com/frontline5th or follow the link in the show notes. Okay, now we can get back to that sweet, sweet Bone Zone action.
Whatever happened to the bong?
Bong.
Bone Zone.
Yeah, we just got nasty in so many other ways. It was just like, I can't just keep every other sentence.
There was literal smut 2 weeks ago.
I don't think we're anywhere near smut. Keep trying.
All right, well, goals. Act 1. Welcome, penitents. Hello and welcome to the Frontline Fifth, a Locked Tomb podcast where a couple of delightfully naive teacher's aides explore the Locked Tomb series for the first time, while a couple of dried-out bone witches cackle over how little they really know. We are currently reading Nona the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, and this week we are wiggling our way out of bed and into our clothes like the worms with problems that we are in John 28 and Chapter 1. I'm your host today, Hannah, and like Jod, I'm a millennial with an unnecessary degree and a bunch of bodies cryopreserved in my basement. Kidding on the second part. I'm joined today by fellow inhabitant of the old world, Marie. Marie, now that we know that Jod comes from our world, it made me think about how the Nine Houses are probably influenced by the minutia and inanity of the 90s and aughts. So was there any insane thing from your childhood or teen years that influenced your life in deeply beautiful and disturbing ways?
I don't know, beautiful and disturbing. I just constantly quote 10 Things I Hate About You and Emperor's New Groove.
Yay! I mean, that's just high quality film, so.
Yeah.
Also joining us today are our sweet little friends, Brooke and John. Brooke, John, did you finish your breakfast? And is there anything from millennial life that influenced you in a big
Eggs
way?
For breakfast is the worst.
Oh my God, hot take.
I'm not a
Go
breakfast
on.
person. If you're going to make me a breakfast, it's like a couple pieces of fruit. Millennial life. I played Carmen Sandiego with a physical atlas that was about 2 feet by 4 feet. Perfect example, I think, of being a younger millennial.
That's
the internet wasn't good enough to search for geographical shit, but I did play Carmen Sandiego on a computer.
I also had an atlas that was a full child-sized
Those are fun.
book, and I similarly played Carmen Sandiego. Yeah, what about you, John?
So that just sparked a memory of just every time you went to go buy a video game, you would get the physical case with the physical CD, and it would have a little
3 to 4 CDs, and you'd have to install one after the other because they were too big to store on one.
World of Warcraft came with 4 CDs, but I remember going home with the WoW box, and I also made my parents buy me the game guide that came with it. So it was a separate thing. It was its own booklet published by a different company that you could read through. So dial-up internet, I think for our younger audience, they won't remember the pain of just your parents answering the phone and just getting shut off from the internet because there was only one line in, one line out. And listening to this. I
still miss the sound.
Yeah, the sounds of
sound is the best part.
Yeah.
Bing, bing,
no, I specifically
bing,
remember I was trying to play Halo 2 and I got disconnected from a lobby, and I was all like, all right, parents, we need to get non-AOL internet, non-dial-up internet, because this is ridiculous. And they were like, yeah, sounds good.
Good job.
McDonald's value menu. Do you remember going and getting an Egg McMuffin for 99 cents on certain days at McDonald's? That's just not a thing anymore.
They still have a dollar menu, but it's multiple dollars, so it's a little funny.
Yeah, the dollar menu is actually $2 now. The birth of the modern internet was just something that you kind of just had to be there. Early YouTube.
The early internet was peak.
4chan before it went insane was a wild, wild place. I don't think that will ever get created, but original 4chan was an insane place.
Internet forums in general are a diet art.
Holy, yeah.
I miss personal pages and personal blogs. I loved blogs. I had an RSS feed. Now we're just going off. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
The way that social media is now, this is going to turn into a rant that I'm not erasing. The way that social media is now, there's a lot of sameness, right? Because the algorithm is what is pushing you towards things. And what it used to be was that you had an RSS feed, you had blogs of people you were interested in. They came up on your feed.
You were your own algorithm.
One curator.
You were your own algorithm.
Yes.
And then they would curate things for you. So it was like my favorite thing was that people would curate things for you. And now I still have newsletters and stuff that come into my email that I delete all the time that are like people still trying to do that curation and still try to introduce you to things. But it's just, it doesn't hit the same.
It's too much on top of the algorithm.
Yeah. No, I know. So I will say there are two things that none of you said that is like shocking to me. So one was the early Flash videos, like End of the World or the llama song or the like Badger
Amsterdam.com, baby!
I think this was... I really feel like there was something special there. It was so chaotic. It was so absurdist, and it was glorious. And then the other one was for me that actually the early chat messenger stuff was really, really important to me. I formed some really important relationships via AIM and via MSN Messenger. I would spend maybe... I don't know, until 2 or 3 a.m. almost every single night writing to people and exploring the world. We were just kids, so we were exploring big things. It was all about like death and life and humanity. And
I'm trying to remember the name of like, it was one of the very first like video calling softwares, and it was like integrated.
Oh, are you talking about Chat Roulette?
Yes, I'm thinking of Chat Roulette.
Or Omegle was the other one.
Wait, can I just say one more thing?
Yes, one more, and then
when
we're shutting it off.
When I worked in recruiting, I talked to a guy who had an incredibly common name, but his email address was just first name, last name @gmail.com because he was one of the first 1,000 people let into like, that is early internet. This guy literally was just first, last name. And it was an incredibly common name. There's got to be thousands of them.
Oh, God. This literally just reminded me of the entire thing where people would respond in the comments. Like there was a whole race to see who could type first.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. So with that firmly out of the way, we're going to try and tone down our fucking millennial shit for the rest of the episode.
Chat, is our podcast millennial coded?
Are we cooked? Are we unk?
No. I promise. You're still in the right place, listener. You're still in the right place, penitent.
Are we chopped?
We're going to do...
Is our podcast
We're doing
uncoded?
necromancy now. We're doing necromancy. All right. Let's meet my most favorite character in the series. But first... what were your thoughts reading these very first chapters of Nona the Ninth? Because you just got to start Nona the Ninth.
Oh my God. What the fuck? Like, these first 2 books just constantly were withholding information. There was like a little drip of exposition here and there. But then fucking boom! The very first 2 chapters of this book, no preamble. First we get like the motherfucking origin story. And then we get like Cam and Pal suddenly in some form of like a perfect Lictor pairing, being scolded by Pyrrha, who's in Giddy One's body. They're eating a very normal breakfast of scrambled eggs. Like, what the fuck have we done? Just a completely different book.
I almost... If I wasn't reading on my phone, I would have thrown this book out the window within the first page of John 2028 here.
Oh my God.
Like, I hate this. I'm already lost. Like, are we going into another alternative universe or an alternative timeline? Is it another bubble? Like, shit's fucked. Like, what is happening? I thought the first book was a mindfuck. And then the second book was like, oh, that's cute. Here's some real fuckery. And then the third book is just like, how about if we just throw some shit at you that's crazy and doesn't really kind of make sense with the ending of the second book?
Yeah, hey, this is the third in the series, but really, like, we're not picking up anywhere anywhere we left off. No, we're just going somewhere entirely new.
Somewhere entirely new.
And the craziest thing is that this was supposed to be the end of the book, right? And it just kept going and going and going and going, which makes me deeply concerned for where this book is going.
No, John, the thing that's deeply concerning is that this was day 1, apparently, according to the very first thing, and then nothing that said was going to happen in day 1 happened in this chapter.
And also, 5 days deeply until the tomb unlocks. What the fuck does that mean?
This whole book is going to be 5 days, John. This whole book is going to be 5 days. Maybe 6.
I fucking hate this. And we will be reading 2 to 3 chapters a week for the next 4 to 5 months.
AM for 1 week, PM for the next week. Maybe that separates out lunch and dinner.
I swear to God, if we like J.R. Tolkien this shit, where it's like one chapter is just like Nona described eating breakfast, and that's like our chapter for the week, I'm going to lose my mind. I can't do whole chapters describing eating.
This has been, I think, the greatest moment of my entire life. Between watching Marie in the background, which I hope I remember to actually clip and put somewhere on TikTok or Instagram because it was the best thing that's ever happened. I feel more satisfied than I've ever felt. And I also would like to share, dear listener, that what John actually wrote into our notes is, I've lost my mind and I don't know where it's gone.
That reminds me, I'm infinitely annoyed that you folks actually tricked me. This isn't a fantasy book. It's not a sci-fi book. It's actually a dark academia book, apparently, because John has a PhD. And
just having a PhD doesn't mean okay. Fine.
This is
hot take. I think he's right.
This whole thing is just the story of what seems to be a scorned academic. So I hate you guys. I was accidentally tricked into the genre.
Slippery slope.
Oh, what can we say? It's very relatable to us. All right. So, Marie, is there anything you would like to add to all of that?
I felt pretty similarly to John. Like, Brooke seems to be like, oh, we're getting so much information. I think when I was reading Nona, I was like, we're getting so much information. We're finding out exactly what's happening. And then I was like, also,
what the fuck is going
I
on?
know nothing. None of this makes any sense. It doesn't matter how much information I have. I have no context and I don't have enough information.
Details don't.
And I think just because the pacing is so different, it's so completely different in tone than the other two. It's like so different than like why you got dragged into and like pulled into this series to begin with. It really wasn't my favorite. I was like, it's fine.
The whole book or just when you started reading these first two chapters?
No, the whole book.
All right.
I was like, it's okay.
I find this so funny.
Like, Hera will still be my favorite just because of like the first experience reading it, but it's pretty hard to beat this book.
So for me, I knew that I was in love in these first chapters right away. Like, I fell in love absolutely immediately. I fell head over heels and I'm stuck. And part of that is that I fucking love an origin story. So like the second you would open it up to John 28, I was like, holy shit, we're actually going to find out what happened. Because I was so convinced that Tamsin was going to leave it forever on this like, just intimations about what the past might have been. So I already got excited about that. And then everything about Nona, there's something about it that of course is nothing like an adult human mostly, but is so infinitely relatable, from her desire to rescue adjacent dogs, which is how all of my imaginary confrontations with, like shooters and fires and earthquakes go, is a lot of like the who all I will save. And then also, I don't know, she's trying really, really hard. And I love her. That's all. So I was in love right away. All right. So we're going to do a quick meme watch. My only meme here is that her alarm is good morning. And I feel very strongly that this is from Singing in the Rain.
Yeah. Good morning. I sing that to my children all the time. I wondered that too, but then I was like, how would that still be in this universe?
I don't care. It's just what I believe.
I think it could be. Be. I don't have SAT prep for us, but I do have Kiwi references.
Ooh, tell us.
Just want to point out, like, a freezing works. That's how you would describe a slaughterhouse that is like prepping for like freezing.
That is a little on the nose.
Like cow slaughterhouse. So it's a packing plant.
Okay.
And then when he says all of these, like his pedigree, like he says Dilworth, and then Otago, Auckland, and then overseas to Corpus. So Dilworth is a boys' boarding school in New Zealand. So that's high school, but it's like a fancy high school. Otago was probably his undergrad. Auckland was probably grad school. And Corpus is probably Corpus Christi of like Cambridge for postdoc.
Thank you for that.
He's a Dilworth man. Yes.
Exactly.
It tells you too much right away.
Indubitably.
And then I think that Pyrrha is described as wearing a string vest.
Yeah.
We would call that like a fishnet. So imagine Gideon.
This is an image that I'm getting straight out of The Fifth Element.
Yes.
1,000%. 1,000%. I think that so much of the aesthetics of New Row are Fifth Element.
Man, thank you for this. We're going to have to add Kiwi prep.
I think so.
With that, I'd like everyone to try and take just another mouthful of 2 of eggs. Yes, even you, Brooke, as we eavesdrop on Nona the 9th, episode 1, Wannabe Heroes and Hairy Dogs. Act 2, All So Benign.
This section of Frontline Fifth is safe for anyone who hasn't read past Chapter 1 in Nona the Ninth.
John 28. John's cryo project gets canceled.
In the dream, she and John sit on a beach. The falling ash makes them sick, but only ever for a little while. They have a bundle of meat that he's cut for them for when they get hungry,
Mostly thighs.
which is always at the same time, and mostly thighs.
What kind of thigh?
And when they're thirsty, they drink from the
Thick
sea like
thighs
dogs.
save lives.
You think they're human thighs? Chicken thighs.
I'm 100% on board with them being human thighs because if you remember from the dinner, John says, I haven't eaten human in 10,000 years.
Ew!
So I'm assuming they're human thighs.
And while they cannibalize, or not, as the case may be, John basically is monologuing to her about his academic background and about the facility that they established in order to save her. The plan was solid. The Mark R cryocans had room for 11 billion people. I mean, the investors were always bitching about the timeline and the money, but, you know, investors are always bitching about the timeline and the money. It was going to work, this project. Nobody knowingly left behind. That was their motto. And together at the beginning there, it's just A and M and John. They recruit C on board, who seems to be some sort of contract lawyer, but it's a small group of them working hard on this project. And there's, of course, other groups working on other things, constructing ships for the Kuiper project, but it all seems above board. And it's M that first starts to get worried, that first says that she smells a rat. And John tells her not to worry, not to be paranoid. I mean, this project that they're working on, the cryo project, is the way out. And trillionaires are going to go where the oxygen is. Wealthy men head for the exit. So he is shocked. John is flabbergasted when the cryo project gets shut down, whereas M just says, there they go, John. And A and M cry, which always kind of freaks out John. Anytime A and M are on the same page, it freaks him out. And John couldn't do a damn thing about it. So what did he do? A damned thing. And she asks, when is the part where you hurt me? And he tells her that it's coming up. She says, I still love you. And he says, you always say that, Harrow Hark.
Fuck.
What?
Brooke's eye roll. It's so
Yeah,
sad.
tell me about that face.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so John and I were reading this together and, you know, we're like feeling it out, kind of figuring out, you know, all these like pronouns that are left out, and clearly a lot of, like, if I were having this conversation, I'd have a lot of clarifying questions, but she does not. And you're like figuring it out as you go through, like, this has got to be Electo. Like, there's got to be Electo. There's like this insinuation that like they are already bonded in a lictor pair because they like don't hurt for very long. They don't eat very much, but when they do, it's like always synced up. Like whatever, like little pieces of coincidental information that makes us think that. And at the end we get, you always think that, Harrow Hark, and you're like, no, why'd you gotta go do that?
I finished this and I just had a 1,000-yard stare off into the distance.
There is a book that I want to read. I think it's a short novel called On the Beach. And it's a group of survivors. Let's see. Let me find the Wikipedia page.
No, so it's classic post-apocalyptic literature.
Have you read this?
I wrote a paper about it.
Wait, what? Oh, that's right. You have this thing about post-apocalyptic literature.
Especially post-nuclear
Excellent.
apocalyptic literature. So, okay, On the Beach is actually a really interesting one because what has happened is there's already been some massive nuclear war and it was in the Northern Hemisphere. The whole book is set in Australia and they are waiting for the fallout to spread. And they're just going about their normal fucking lives, waiting for like a month from now when they will all die. It's like a very deeply tragic and disturbing picture into human life as you just sit there and try to pretend like everything is completely normal with the absolute knowledge that your death is coming for you on a very strict timeline and there's not a damn thing you can do about it.
Yes, you're pointing out this is the parallels of this post-apocalyptic, post-nuclear apocalyptic time point sitting on the beach. The funny things also are like the fact that this is like they were sitting on driftwood. It was like next to a salty ocean, and like a lot of that has like weird crossover with like the river, which we know they like Harrow was collecting driftwood on the banks of the river, which is salty.
I'm gonna go thermonuclear in our rampant speculation based on this chapter.
Okay, good. I left very little, so I'll leave that to you.
I don't know if we're going to end up being right, but this fits so well into the mega theorem that we had about 85% of the way through Harrow the Ninth.
You're going to have to refresh us on what that is. All right, so I do have a couple questions before we go on, because like none of you interrupted me while I was telling the actual, story. Are there any like details here that you want to...
Oh, yeah, I mean, we can touch on the M, the A, the C, the G.
Tell us about the letters.
Yeah, let's get loose here. All right, let's get into this.
John is literally warming up his shoulders.
I think Brooke and I both agree that all the single letter names are all what would become the future lictors, right? Like A is for Augustine, M is for Mercy,
medical
G is for Gideon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they said Augustine was a glycerol 6 expert, which I guess the only thing to me would be like cryoprotectants. Like,
I think that's the only reference that it can be.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's like literally something. Okay, because three of us are like, yeah, of course. If you are trying to keep samples for a while, you can keep them in like negative 80 degrees Celsius, but you need to add something like a cryoprotectant so that ice crystals forming
don't literally poke holes in your cells.
And so glycerol, like literally just plain
or
glycerol,
sugars,
glycerol 6, is a common cryoprotectant specifically for bacterial cultures, for example.
And maybe for humans.
I guess just to summarize, it seems like they're working on a project as a way to freeze all 11 billion people and getting them off the planet. I don't know, actually, Kuiper?
Kuiper. I looked it up.
Kuiper is the asteroid belt that's way out at the edge of the solar system.
Pluto is technically in the Kuiper belt.
Oh.
So it basically seems like they're working on a way to freeze everybody so that they can ship them off to the edge of the known solar system for unknown purpose. But it sounds like
future resurrection.
Just like waiting, I guess. Like literally put them in the freezer.
Yeah, put them in the freezer, ship them all out there, thaw them out, because it might take a while to get there. But it sounds like what ends up happening is all the rich and wealthy people get in a ship, leave everyone on Earth, and then the timeline is unclear, but it sounds like they just nuke everyone that's behind because they're sitting on a beach while ash rains from the sky, which sounds like they just nuked everything.
I don't know why they would have already had a plan to get everybody off the planet.
Yeah, so we can go into like the details and the rampant speculation. I just kind of wanted to like more broadly summarize that what we learned from this is that John, and I agree with you, A&M sounds like it's Augustine and Mercy, are working on some sort of cryopreserving project where they're trying to preserve
11
people.
billion people, which would be the population of Earth, which it's not currently.
I think that G is in there in the science thing too, because it sounds a little bit like he's an engineer.
Yep.
All right, so this is kind of like the state of being, is like they're working on this project and it gets shut down and it kind of crushes John.
And he does a damned thing.
Meanwhile, in the waking world, Act 3, another mark under ass joke.
Let's recap. Chapter 1, Locked Tomb. Regarding Nona, Nona's dream, Cam, Pyrrha, and Pal, a half-heard conversation. So, the first sentence of Gideon the Ninth is, in the myriadic year of our Lord, the 10,000th year of the King Undying, the kindly Prince of Death, Gideon Nav picked her sword, her shoes, and her dirty magazines, and she escaped
thank
from
you
the
for
house of the
doing
night.
this. I know exactly what you're doing. Okay. Harrow.
Yep, first sentence of Harrow is, it was in the close of the myriadic year of our Lord, that far-off king of necromancers, that blessed resurrector of saints, that you picked up your sword. Nona, chapter 1, starts with, late in the year of nobody she really thought about that much in particular, the person who looked after her pushed the button on the recorder and said, start.
I had to reread that sentence so many times. I was like, late in the year of nobody she thought about. What is this? And then I remembered the first sentence of Gideon. That is exactly right.
Yep.
So the day starts with Nona explaining her dream as soon as she wakes up. Camilla records everything on what sort of sounds like an old school tape recorder, right? With big clunky plastic buttons that click down. And she's also taking notes the whole time. Nona dreams that she's in the safe water with the painted face on top of her, hands pressing down. Hers? Maybe Nona's? No, it's definitely her arms wrapping tight around Nona. And then there isn't any more of the dream to go to. And so as soon as the recorder clicks off, it's time for Nona to get her pajamas off and clothes on in a series of moves that Cam describes as the worm with problems, as she like frantically wiggles out of all of her clothes and into her other ones.
Yeah, I really couldn't imagine this. Too bad.
I couldn't imagine this either. She's like getting dressed and undressed at the same time. And I was like, this sounds so much harder than just taking clothes off and being naked for a moment and then putting clothes back on.
There was an attempt at describing what this would look like, and it didn't work for me. Did it work for any of you?
No.
Not Marie.
I have no idea what's going on.
I don't know. I understand the concept of taking off your clothes and putting them on at the same time.
But that's a little inappropriate.
Smut.
I don't think I'd be good at it. It's like, it definitely sounds super chaotic.
Doesn't sound like something you'd ever be good at.
And I mean, the hilarious thing, of course, is that the worm with problems is actually like a huge advance on where she was before. Because in the bad old days, she couldn't even dress herself. And she'd twice had tantrums, which she can never ever do again because it would be humiliating to have a third.
I'm claustrophobic. I have experienced this directly. It was wild to hear this.
Getting trapped in your shirt.
And having a panic attack over it.
Baby.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I have never, I didn't know that this, like, it's really funny to see that written down going, yeah, that's how it feels. Claustrophobics represent.
It's kind of, yeah, so she literally would get like scared inside of her own shirt. And it's clear that the details of it are hard, right? Like, in order to get dressed for this weird new row kind of, you know, classic post-apocalyptic world, you have this like sand dust shirt that the cuffs have to be right on and all sorts of toggles and shit. And like, but she has learned how to do all of the getup of getting dressed in the morning. And she's quite proud of it. So Nona goes off into the kitchen to help Pyrrha with breakfast. And you've already said this, so I don't feel bad about spoiling it. It's Pyrrha, but it's pretty clearly in Giddy One's body, his ropey, sinewy body with his stubble and his red hair. But it's definitely Pyrrha in there. And Pyrrha is already getting ready with breakfast. She's making eggs. Cam stays behind to talk to Palamedes. And before Nona goes out into the kitchen, Nona asks Cam to write down, "I love you, Palamedes," from Nona. Which, of course, Nona has to take on trust that Camilla is actually doing because Nona can't read.
Question. Is it like they're having a conversation, or it sounds like she has to write down everything she's thinking so that when Pal takes over, he can...
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a transference thing.
Okay, let's be clear on where we were when we started reading this. First time you're reading this, you're like, oh, there's like some interesting thing because he's just a hand, right? That's the last we saw was he was a hand. His existence was tied to a skeletal hand. And you're like, oh, so maybe they like somehow write to each other. I don't know how he reads it or sees it or something, but like that's... Nope.
They reverse lictored, or they found a perfect lictor process.
And it's weird to call it lictoring when like you don't have a body to stab, but... Yeah.
I mean, if the body's already dead, do you need to stab the body? Like the whole thing is just to get
Fix
the spirit out,
place,
right? Yeah.
But no, don't absorb
the spirit is fixed to the bones.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, to be fair, part of lictoring is consumption. So I don't know if that happened, but you are right that like we're going to find out here that what's really happening is that Cam and Pal are sharing Camilla's body. And so when they're having conversations like this, I think you're right. They literally have to like write back and forth to each other or potentially use that tape recorder. It's a stilted back and forth conversation because they can never really be in the same place at the same time.
Tragic.
Pyrrha's off in the kitchen, as they said, making eggs. Nona asks Pyrrha what her dreams are about, and Pyrrha says that actually last night she dreamed that she had to give a briefing pantsless, which makes Nona guffaw, so they add a mark to the ass joke tally. And Pyrrha does Nona's braids while Nona tries to eat. Nona really does not want to eat. And Cam comes into the kitchen, except that it's not Cam. It's Palamedes, as we said,
yeah, what
in
the
Camilla's
fuck was
body.
This?
Jesus Christ. Just about flipped to shit.
You didn't see this coming? So, of course, you know, it's actually written really beautifully because Camilla walks into the room, but, you know, immediately from what Camilla says in Camilla's voice, you can tell it's Palamedes, not Camilla. And there are a couple of ways you can tell the difference between the two, even though they're sharing the same body. So the easiest way to tell the difference is their eyes. So Cam has these like crystal clear gray eyes. Pal has eyes that are kind of gray-brown. And the other difference is the way they hold themselves. So Cam is always like on her toes, active, always moving, ready to pounce. And Palamedes stands perfectly still. Nona is told to empty her bowl, eat her breakfast, while Pyrrha and Palamedes go off to talk. But Nona decides, and I just relate to this so much, that it's unnecessarily harsh to expect her not to listen and to eat. And so she takes her bowl over to the door to eavesdrop. I love making your own rules where you're like, I mean, in order to create justice in this world, like what middle ground can we come to?
Gotta even out the power plays.
So she goes over to eavesdrop on this conversation, which is, I truly think, intensely interesting, but it's half-heard chaos, and it's very, very hard to understand, even on a third, fourth reread.
Motherfucking Tamsin Muir shit. You know what she likes to do? And I think this is kind of cool.
Remember when we liked Tamsin?
Yeah, remember.
We still like Tamsin.
She does this funny thing a lot, and I do think it's interesting because books a lot of the time will leave you, you know, expecting more from people than is reasonable. Because when your narrators typically know enough, and then when they overhear a conversation, like, you have enough context to, like, fit that into a larger picture. All of her characters are always clueless. And so they could be hearing things that make perfect sense as long as you have, like, a little bit of structure to fit them into. But none of her characters ever have that, and never give it to us as a result. Therefore, we're just left with these little snippets without any context at fucking all.
I will tell you that even having read Nona 3 or 4 times, this is actually really, really hard.
Damn.
To figure out what it means.
In the spoiler section, I have written down almost the entire conversation for Marie and I to go through because I think it is not trivial and there are things we still don't know.
Yeah, so
someday we will reread this having read Alecto, and hopefully we will be like, haha.
That's nice. Maybe.
Well, so let's talk through it a little bit because there are a lot of little pieces that are interesting. So Palamedes asks why they're holding off on the barracks. And Pyrrha says that the moment they clear it out, it's going to put a black mark on negotiations. Is there anything you want to take away from this?
Okay, so, like, I think the first question is really around what the barracks are. The barracks to me sound like they, like, contain cohort people. Does that seem right to you guys?
That was my read on it, is it sounds like either Blood of Eden or the planet, like the people of the planet, have put the barracks under siege and are actively negotiating with the cohort.
Yeah, or something.
On, like, how things are going. And so if they like rush in and kill everyone in the barracks, it's going to, like, complicate the negotiations that are going on with the cohort. At least that's how I read it.
And it seems like Palamedes is pretty uncertain on what BOV is aiming for, right?
Yes.
So, like, one of the things he says is he asks why BOE would run when they have the best hand they were ever dealt. It's unclear how much information Pyrrha has either, right? Because she also won't give him too much information because she does not have time to teach Cam and Pal how to endure BOE torture.
And she says something weird, like, I need my necromancer to teach Camilla. Like, what is even the point of saying that? The more straightforward way of saying it is like, well, my necromancer's dead, so he can't teach Cam how to kill people. Instead, she's like, yeah, I need my necromancer to teach Cam. And it's like, that's not an option, is it?
I think
it's
that's
also
what she
a weird
means.
thing to say.
Weird way to say it.
I think you're right. I think she means that, like, my necromancer is dead, and
Just
so
a weird
I
way to
like
say it.
I can't do anything. I think it's fucking weird that she would need her necromancer to teach Camilla, who's clearly the cavalier. So, like, I'm unclear on all of this.
He did seem like he was a pretty good warrior type.
Yeah. So Pyrrha mentions that they could just take her up on the offer she made, which Pal says was beautiful and almost useless. Pyrrha says that if Pal were clever, he would focus on search and recovery and not on the barracks. She tells him, forget the barracks and stop trying to be the people's hero. You can have the barracks or your people or neither.
Who the barracks are and who the people are really changes the way this is interpreted a little bit. I almost think that his people are being referred to as, like, these, like, many million people that are on this current planet they are on and the nearby planetoid. Not like the house forces.
Pal says very specifically that there are 3 million people on a Thanergy planetoid, millions of kilometers away. There's 9 million people in this city, 3 million plus 9 million plus 16, and we refuse to leave any of them behind.
Right, so he's basically like, all humans are worth something. And I mean, but saying your people or the barracks is a strange dichotomy. Because I think the barracks would be the house
forces. I wonder if there's, like, weapons
forces.
or something in the barrack.
Yeah, they're searching for something. At sites, though.
Yeah, you can either have the cohort, like you can save the cohort people that sounds like they're under siege, or you can have, like, the weapons in the barracks or, like, whatever's in the barracks.
But they clearly also, as Brooke was saying, are doing some sort of search mission trying to scour sites B and site C.
Yeah,
right?
and so they're near the barracks, it seems like. So maybe, I think you might be right, John. I just don't know exactly.
There's something they want in the barracks, and so like the option are you can either get your people out or you can get the stuff you want out. You're not going to get both. It's that was how I read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think we also, separately from like the little factoids, we get some really lovely insight into who Pyrrha is as a person and who Palamedes is as a person. Because Pyrrha's take is basically, if you asked me to choose between all of those fucking 12 million people and us three, I'd pick us three every time. And I think for me, that's because Pyrrha is someone who is a warrior and has experienced very real loss and combat, and is a pragmatist, right? Like Pyrrha's take is that you can't have it all, so you take the things that are important. And so it's simultaneously really believing in her little family that she's created with them as being important. And Palamedes' take is, no, I won't fucking leave anyone behind. We refuse to leave any of these behind. I would raid the barracks if there were only 2 people left.
I don't know if I agree that is a character trait versus an age thing.
Yeah, I was like, I can't tell if this is Pyrrha has always been this way and Pyrrha always had
this pragmatist sort of perspective. Yeah,
she would choose, like, she has her few priority and she will basically always choose her team and her people over anything else and let the world burn. Or
she's 10,000 years old and doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
Basically, like, this is a form of despair.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
I agree.
can't save anybody, so there's actually isn't a point in trying to save them.
I think it is impossible, though, to tease these out. So, like, what is a character trait is informed by your experiences.
And she's had 10,000 years of them. Yeah, my point is that,
exactly.
10,000 years from now, Palamedes might say the same thing.
10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck.
Crick in the neck? Yeah. Exactly. Thank you, Jeannie.
I'll be right back.
He took his headphones off, so what are we talking about behind his back this time?
I can't.
That's right. We usually can't talk about him.
I'm not kidding. There is actually an Eagles game on right now, and it was 10:15 my time, and Rob goes, "John's missing the Eagles game for this podcast." So
wait, what?
Yeah.
That's how much
he
John
loves us. That's how much he loves
He's
us.
sacrificing.
That is such a
so
sacrifice.
goddamn sweet.
Which makes it even better that he's going to be drunk off his ass coming back from an Eagles game next time.
At the next record.
You win some, you lose some.
That's amazing. Why not both?
That is a win. I think that is a win. I cannot fucking wait.
What's going to be our method for, like, trying to keep this ship on a vaguely straight route?
To be honest, I actually really hope he talks more. I hope he gets, like, more chaotic. Like, because he's so respectful and sweet to us all. And I feel like
it's been trained to him.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah.
My favorite thing is, like, the background, like, things. Like, I'm not kidding. So many times that I edit all of the rest of us out so that you can hear the bizarre shit that John said.
Oh boy, what did I
miss? You'll hear about it later.
Yikes. Okay.
Much later.
Hey.
In January.
Yeah, we'll all have forgotten about it by then. Oh my God.
Where were we?
Okay, so all right, so I will say the last, like, couple of things here. So in this vein of Pyrrha wanting to save just them, she really wants to run away to farm a little moonlit together, which is a fucking adorable,
yeah. I'll teach you guys how to farm.
It's very cute. Pal's not on board. Pyrrha's trying to explain to Palamedes that we suffer has lost. The Wakers and Tesiphon Wing can't protect us. Merv Wing's got the glue, which is a way out. The Hopers call the shots now.
God.
And she's trying to explain to him that it's a more ruthless and vicious BOE than he has yet encountered. This is something different.
Yeah, I don't know what... The information about BOE that we get here is kind of loose. So it seems like there is some sort of an alliance of a little bit between Cam Pal, Pyrrha. Actually, I don't know how much Pyrrha's part of it, to be honest, but Cam Pal and BOE. But they're definitely like an arm's length sort of thing. It sounds like if, they're willing to, like, if there's this big concern about interrogation being violent and brutal in some way.
Oh my God. Speaking of, like, millennial coded, do you remember when you could change your Facebook status to "it's complicated"?
Your relationship status. Yes. Oh, that's this whole book. That's cute.
It's complicated with BOE.
It's complicated.
Okay, so BOE definitely is not like, welcoming Cam Pal with open arms. There definitely seems to be a pretty uneasy alliance there. It seems like we're learning a little bit about what they do in the universe. So there's an insinuation that 20 years ago, and maybe this was like Commander Wake's doing, they put refugees from 20 different planets on this planet to live cheek by jowl. That like BOE was gathering these people here together, and maybe Wake had a plan. Of course, she died, and there's been no long-term plan to like give these people, some sort of a societal mission, I guess. And now it sounds like Blood of Eden is making the choice to abandon them after, taking them for wherever they had.
Or the cohort moved all these people here, and the cohort's abandoning them.
It's a combo situation.
Yeah.
And there's like this weird comment about Merv Wings got the glue, which is a way out. Feels like one of those weird throwaway sentences.
Yeah.
What is the glue?
I think it's like the glue to keep
Society together?
all of these societies together because of the way that
So not a way off, but a way out of the mess.
Yeah, it says this is what happens when you force refugees from 20 different planets to live cheek by jowl and you keep thinking people unify under a common threat. She always made that mistake. I think that means Wake. I told her 20 years ago, works beautiful in the short term, but you've got to give them a future to really keep them glued.
Ah, Merv Wing's got the glue. Okay. What does Merv Wing have? Who is Merv Wing?
Yeah, okay.
What is
I will
Merv
say
Wing?
I could see it either way, because for me, it could be that Mervwing has the thing that's going to keep them glued together long term, which is a promise of some sort of real way out. And I don't know what that is. But this is one where Marie and I do not have. We have definitely more information than you, but not that fucking much.
Let's check in later.
Beep, 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 beep. The timer goes off. And Palamity's time is up.
This makes me realize that we did miss sort of a meme where Palamity's makes a reference to making more money so that they could eat better by
Writing erotica.
By writing
erotica. And then he said like Cam's body is a temple and says something. He makes a reference to cake smashing.
Cake smashing.
Yes, to people like with your butt in order to.
Oh, I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, sitting on a cake.
Here's the thing. Let's not kink shame, but also let's not waste cake. Okay?
Yeah.
Do I want to know?
Anyway, I just thought that was funny. That's
right,
as close to a meme that we've got in this chapter.
So Palamity's time is up. Camilla switches back into her own body and, of course, immediately knows that Nona was listening at the door the entire time. So all of them put on their hats and masks to head out into the city, even though they don't need them. And Nona twitches aside the curtain so she could look out at the sky, which used to be butterscotch yellow, but now all the light is blue.
What the fuck?
What do you mean the light is all blue? It's that stupid planet.
Okay, we'll follow up on that. Pyrrha quizzes Nona and Camilla on their safe words for the week and what to do if that thing in the sky stops periscoping. Nona and Camilla actually both fail their quiz because they know where to go, but Nona wants to rescue any adjacent dogs and Camilla wants to fight. And Pyrrha's like, oh my God, please just wait for me quietly until I come and collect you. And off they go. So that was cryptic, but I guess it's what we deserve for listening at the door and not finishing our eggs, Brooke. Good thing it's time for a game. Interstitial, the worm with problems. One of my big takeaways from these chapters is that all of our weird quirks should be given charming names. So what I'm saying is we can all be a worm with problems. This week, I thought we'd brainstorm some names for some of the weird behaviors that I love in this world. So first up is my idiot dog, Pepper, asleep on the couch beside me. She responds to all good things by jumping around in a circle over and over and over and over and over and over and over. What are we calling that?
It's a jumping bean.
Aww. But it's like jumping bean meets goldfish brain.
Yep. Love that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I love that. That's wonderful.
Jumping bean with a goldfish brain.
Jesus Christ.
Perfection. Marie, you have one here.
Yeah, so my children refuse to look to see if they actually have clean towels in the bathroom before they take a shower, so I regularly see teenage boy ass like running down the hall. I just want to know what this is.
Aside from very relatable.
No plans, no pants. Yeah, something like that.
There we go. No plans, no pants. All right. I want to do one for my dear, I think of him as my nephew dog, even though I'm not related to John. But John's dog, Muzzy, likes to be up on the couch, but he doesn't like to jump. He would prefer that you pick him up there, but he hates being picked up. So he growls the entire time until you put him down on the couch, and then he's happy again. So what do you call that?
He wants to be picked up, but he doesn't like to be in transit, and then he likes to be held or like up on things. So he likes the destination,
and he
not
goes
the
full
journey.
gremlin.
Yeah, he will like rawr, 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 and then be very happy.
It's like the opposite of cute aggression.
Yeah.
What is it? Affection aggression.
Oh, I
The
kind of like
sisterhood
that.
of the traveling
All right.
pants. I don't know.
What did you say?
Because these pants like a dog. I don't know. There's something there.
I think we just call it fear of flying.
Fear of flying.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, John, you have one.
My wife's thing is that she leaves all the lights on in every room that she goes in and out of. So like there are times where I'll just like come in and be like, every light in the house is on.
What's that TV show? The Things We Do in the Dark? It's the things we do in the light.
Yeah.
What we do in the shadows, but it's what we do in...
What we do with the lights on.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, she's going to hate that.
That's why we're keeping it.
God. Oh, that's good. My husband has this adorable thing in winter where in his sleep, like fully dead asleep, he pulls the covers all the way up to his chin and clutches them there while sleep frowning.
It's pretty cute.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Sleeps like he's in the Great Depression.
Oh, it's an Uncle Charlie sleep. No, what? Grandpa Charlie. It's a Grandpa Charlie sleep.
It's also kind of how squirrels hold their hands.
I do call him a squirrel.
Hibernating squirrel.
I like hibernating squirrel for that. That's good.
Yeah.
Speaking of how people sleep, there was once somebody I knew who would get into the bed by laying on top of the blankets, and then they like pick up one of the edges of the blankets and then like just roll until he was covered. And we called it his alligator death roll because there was like a lot of thrashing involved. And then rolling to get blankets on.
But like he would burrito himself
Yeah, I was
from
going
like
to say
the top
the
of
burrito
the covers.
the burrito napper or
Yeah,
something.
but it was just so violent that somebody one day just called it his alligator death roll. I was like, that's hilarious. I have this bad habit of sometimes when I get to know a stranger, and it's just the two of us and we have to talk, I end up asking like an incessant stream of questions to like get to know them. And then eventually I realize they've gotten uncomfortable. What do we call that? Don't call it interrogation. I want a euphemism.
Oh, I was going to say enthusiastic conversationalism. I don't know.
I had speed dating with the KGB.
Yeah.
Yes!
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what it is.
I'm so happy for you.
Okay, you go with your crazy thing you do, Hannah.
I narrate my life out loud to my pets and sometimes to local inanimate objects and with regular frequency to the pigeons at the train station.
Sounds like you want to be a Disney princess.
Yeah, that's Disney Princess.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, one more, because I did say that I had one about my mom. She likes to spend a lot of time and like effort picking out gifts for me at Christmas. But then she's got this habit where at least once per year, she hands me something and she goes, I don't think you're going to like this. And it's like very funny for somebody to give you a gift as they're like, I don't think you're going to like this. She's also very good. She knows exactly what I do and don't like. So when she says, I don't think you're going to like this, she's usually correct. What do we call this?
I mean, okay, so I do panic gifting where I'm like, I need something. And then I can't find anything. So I just buy 40 things that are all wrong.
Quantity over quality.
But it sounds like she actually is. It sounds like she has a plan going into this. I also actually, Brooke, be honest with yourself and with your co-hosts and with your listeners. What does your face look like when you receive this gift that she's like, you're not going to like this?
Oh, I mean, the second she says you're not going to like this, you go in performance mode, right?
Yeah. Do you think you give a convincing, a compelling performance?
The goal is always not to be too like rude and be like, yeah, this sucks. But like at the end of the day, she's always kind of like, what do we need to do? What do we need to return? Like where are the gift receipts going? So we make it work.
She plans ahead. I like your mom. I like your mom.
We have an open,
I
honest
think we call it a
communication.
gift with receipt. A gift with receipt.
Ooh, I like gift with receipt. I really like that. I really, really like that.
That's what it is.
Like knowing for sure that you're going to return it.
You just lie. Little white lies. It's a good thing to train yourself to be nice in those opportunities. Marie's laughing because I'm not a nice person by like default.
No.
I'm just like,
you are a nice person.
enough.
You're just very blunt. This is actually the thing that my bestie and I were talking about, where she always laughs because she's so blunt, but she also is so nice and so kind. And so she always laughs because she's like, yeah, everybody thinks that I'm the bitch, but it's actually you. And I'm like, I know.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh my God. That's incredible. Well, now we know what to call things, but we still don't know what they mean. So I guess it's time for rampant speculation. Act 4, heading for a purge. Brooke and John aren't just great at befriending dogs. They're also brilliant conspiracy theorists. So Brooke and John, what the fuck is happening?
I don't think I'm all that great at befriending dogs. I already made my point on whether or not this is Earth or the river setting, but you have a bunch. Go!
So reading that, it sounds like Nona/Electo
You think they're the same?
/AL are all the same, and it's our missing RB. It's the it's the spirit of humanity, life, Earth, whatever.
Yeah, there's the comment, we just wanted to save you.
I think God lictored Earth. Like, I think the missing RB is God's lictor pair.
But how come at the end she goes, when's the part where you hurt me? Like, wouldn't that have already happened? Or like, what comes after that's hurtful?
Well, I wonder if he was already a necromancer at that point, and that's why they can heal up. Like, he could do necromancy, but then they became like God or lictor.
Right?
Yeah, maybe because he's the first I don't know. There's something there, but I'm now convinced that God lictored like the spirit of humanity or Earth, like basically like whatever. That fits so nicely into why he hates the rest of humanity outside of the cohort, because it sounds like the rest of humanity is the descendants of the rich people that abandoned Earth.
Yeah, and that's pretty fucking rough if you're like, you are all valueless because you were born to a rich guy 10,000 years ago who abandoned us, and you must be punished for 10,000 years.
Yeah, and that fits into what Augustine said, where it's like a meaningless crusade, or it's like a purposeless crusade, because it's like it's not these people's fault, but like their ancestors abandoned Earth and left them all to rot. And it's unclear if maybe they nuked the planet on their way out. Like I'm firmly on board with it. Sounds like, John and Electo/Nona are sitting on a beach watching nuclear fallout.
Yes, I agree with that.
And being like, shit's fucked, and then he's about to do the lictor process on her. And then do resurrection, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's unclear if, like, John was the one that nuked the planet to kill everyone.
Yeah, he did a damned thing.
Yeah, is it like he killed everyone to ascend to godhood so he could resurrect there's something,
right.
It's like, I don't know where that fits in the timeline, but it's there.
Yep, we're missing a huge piece of information, which is, where do his powers come from? What came first, the chicken or the egg?
It would also explain, like, the Blood of Eden thing, right? Because he's like a necromancer left on Earth. Like, he's basically the boogeyman. If you're a spacefaring people that like evacuated Earth and left behind the cult and the necromancer, well, maybe he's not a necromancer at this point. I don't know.
I have a question from just language. Would you guys consider, if this technology were like completely developed, you could shut down somebody's internal organs and freeze them into a form of stasis and then thaw them out after a year, after 10 years, after 100, 1,000, 10,000, would you consider that a necromancer?
Kinda.
What counts as death?
Yeah, does the spirit have to leave the body? Where does the spirit go when you're frozen?
What's the quote? Significantly advanced technology and science is indistinguishable from magic. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm still confused about electricity.
Anyway.
That was a wild intro. Did you know it took us a while to read it the first time? It's like a 2-page intro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Also, why is this annotated that way? Is John writing his own Bible? Like it's written like their Bible verses, but it's clearly him.
Day 1, 5 days until the tomb open. Regarding Nona, hot sauce is watchful. The city has a bad day. Nona gets a bedtime story. 5 days until the tomb opens. Regarding Nona's... Not sure what that's supposed to mean. You're suggesting that is this chapter.
I think that's part of what's happening in this chapter. You're being introduced to Nona.
Yeah, we haven't met Hot Sauce outside of the persona dramat, whatever they call it. City has a bad day. Yeah, there's still like 1, 2, 3, 4 more things going on here that hasn't happened in chapter 1. Does it seem like we're currently on a Thanergy planet? Like, Palamides talks about like there's a neighboring planetoid that's a Thanergy planet. Millions of kilometers is driving me nuts.
Do you think it sounds like there's like an RB parked in orbit,
yeah.
right?
That
With the
big
periscoping
blue
and everything
RB
else?
that's causing the blue light. It's on the front cover.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they, like in a similar situation to Harrow, they killed the planet and it's transitioning to a Thanergy planet, but it's just not all the way there yet, right? Because you can't inhabit
they're running
Thanergy
out of
planets,
meat,
so
right? Like, so part of me was thinking that they were currently on a Thanergy planet.
maybe they, the cohort saw the RB was coming, one of the lictors show up and kill the planet, and
so
now they're all just sitting there trying to figure out. The RB's like, oh, I could eat this. No, I can't. Just kidding. There's nothing there.
There's too much life. Well, no, that's what it eats. That's why they flip it to Thanergies, because Thalergy is fuel.
Yeah, I think it's a dying planet.
Me too. You think the RB is there because Pyrrha is there?
Well, yeah, and we also now have another potential lictor as well, Cam and Pal.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Dude, I don't know how the fuck that worked.
But also, like, how... All right, so, yeah, we don't have an answer to, like, when did Cam and Pal become a perfect lictor pair?
Yeah,
or,
our
like,
timeline is weird,
lictor.
right? Like, I have this down here.
But how did Pyrrha even get here? Right? Like, last time we saw Pyrrha, she was in the river and doesn't have a necromancer powers, so, like, how did she get out?
How did Gideon get out? Gideon in Harrow's body. Like, we saw that last little scene where Alecto, or the body in the tomb was, like, doing chest compressions, and they were reviving her. So...
I don't fucking know. I
don't know where Harrow's gone either.
Oh my god.
Well, my initial thought, and it's
I
got confused because we don't know who Nona is, but I guess my point still stands that it could be Harrow's body.
That's what I was going to say. Have I just been totally off this is it now?
Because my initial thought with this is Gideon that's like gone kind of brain dead, that like has lost memories. I don't know, like she's died a couple times now, so like, we've got a childish character here that's not exactly Gideon-esque, but maybe.
Yeah, I was just like, I've been convinced the whole time that Nona is the body that woke up, but like, is it actually just Harrow, like it looks... Nona in Harrow's body?
Yeah, I don't fucking know.
Or is it like the spirit of the body in Harrow, which we're calling Nona?
We don't know who she is yet. We haven't figured that out. Cam hasn't figured that out either, so why would we have?
The only clue that we have is the dream sounds a lot like the scene with Gideon and Harrow, where they're in the pool. Gideon like wraps her arms around her and like pulls her to the bottom.
Yeah, who do you think those arms are? You think those are like Gideon's arms? It's a painted face with arms.
It's a painted face where it wraps the arms around you in a saltwater pool, like the safe place.
I guess
right?
it's a she, so that could be Gideon or Harrow that we know of easily. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be either of them. It could be like, it could be Gideon talking about Harrow. It could be Harrow talking about Gideon. It could be...
It's weird. Okay.
What the
don't know where Corona Beth and Judith are. Speaking of timeline.
Yep.
Not here. So I think that means we have fast forwarded a little bit, X amount of time. Not sure how that... Well, maybe, I guess we really don't know what could have happened. I guess that could have been all kind of concurrent with what was happening at the end of Harrow. But they've been together, the three of them, for a while. Gideon's body occupied by Pyrrha. Cam's body occupied by the two of them.
The timeline's fucked. I don't know.
Confused on the timeline. Yeah, stay tuned for us to think about it more over the next week. Last thing is Blood of Eden. What's interesting to see is that they're not the norm in the rest of the universe, right? They still are, like, it doesn't seem like most citizens are part of Blood of Eden. They, like, these people that Pyrrha is working with, like, they don't seem to be...
Yeah, they're a sleeper cell. They're like
So they seem to be like a rogue, a resistance group that is, separate from most citizens. So it's not just like you live off of it, you're part of Blood of Eden as, like, the organization that's alternate.
We don't know what the glue is. Like, what is the thing that will unify everyone to get out? I think what's the way out?
Don't even know what the situation really is yet.
Yeah, we're frenemies with Blood of Eden, sort of. It's like we're in a weird spot. Yeah.
Frenemies with Blood of Eden.
I don't think that's right. I would go with shaky allies.
It's complicated.
Shaky alliance.
Yeah. I like frenemies.
Just to put a bow on the opening chapters of each of these books is me going through a like live action just Dunning-Kruger like experience the entire time. Where the first book, I was just a happily ignorant person. And so I didn't know what I didn't know. And so Second book, I was like, oh God, we really don't know anything.
was the first person killed in the Trojan War.
Yeah. And now I feel like I've gotten to the end where I'm just aware of what I don't know, and it annoys me so much so. Like I'm every time we open these books, I get more and more lost. Is basically like I feel like the opening of each book, the magnitude of how confused I am has just grown more and more.
I love that for you. I do. Well, I'm not even sure what the questions were anymore, but we'll see if any of that happens next time when John and Brooke get initiated into a gang in Nona the Ninth, chapters 2 through 4.
And if you, dear listener, are like Brooke and me, reading along for the first time, make sure you find our reading calendar on our website, frontline5th.podbean.com, or follow us on Instagram or TikTok. And to support us, you can buy merch or join our Patreon, all of which are linked in the show notes. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends and give us a 5-star rating wherever you can. I think we're at 198 ratings on Spotify, so can we get to 200? That would be great. And if you don't like it, feel free to lie.
John is so numbers focused.
Now head off to sleep, my baby necros. Mommy
America.
and Daddy have some deep spoilers to discuss. We're just powering right through that.
Yeah, good job.
Get in, losers. We're going
Excavating.
Get in. Yeah, we're going excavating.
Site B.
Into these spoilers.
Act 5. Once it's over, the deluge.
Warning. This portion of the podcast is 98% spoilers and 2% snickering.
Seriously, we will spoil anything and everything in the series up through Nona the Ninth. If that's not what you want, turn back now.
I think I keep missing all of the memes because I think that there's another one that's sort of a meme. Après moi, le déluge. It's like essentially nihilism.
What's that from?
Attributed to King Louis XV of France.
Interesting.
Like indifference after, to whatever happens after you're gone. Like, what does it matter? I won't be here.
That's fascinating. I absolutely did not catch that. Huh. Okay. Do you want to start with what they said?
John is getting closer.
Yes. John says that it's the spirit of humanity, life, earth, that God lictored earth. That is what the missing RB is. I'm very impressed with that. Ding, ding, ding. He wins on one of the big reveals of the book. I think one of the things that they are confused about right now is the timeline, because they're waiting for John in these John chapters to lictor earth. But what he's doing is telling the story of how he already lictored earth.
Yep.
And of course, it's this weird exchange lictorhood, which is why there's still two of them and why they're so tightly paired. The other thing that they came up with together that I thought was really on point was that maybe that's why John hates all of the non-Ninth House humanity,
right.
Is that they're the descendants of the trillionaires who fled. And it's funny because we won't even get the trillionaires properly fleeing for 2/3 of this book.
Yeah.
But it is pitched in this as trillionaires, they go where the oxygen goes. They're like rats leaving a sinking ship.
Yeah. I thought that was really interesting. I also think it's really interesting that Brooke keeps referring to Cam and Pal as they are now as a perfect lictorhood. And I think it's going to be interesting.
That is fascinating.
To see how that changes in her mind when she realizes that it's actually just a possession.
Yes. And it also was really interesting to me because, so we haven't seen some of the problems that Cam and Pal will have. They didn't talk about why they thought the timer existed, for instance.
Right.
But it was also Brooke who earlier in this said that it was so sad, this idea of them only being able to communicate. Yeah, exactly. So, yes, I agree. I thought that was a really interesting
I think it's going to be so interesting to see how she reacts to the conversation where Pal tells, I think Nona hears it on the tape recorder. And it's them talking to each other, and Pal says something about I miss you, and she says, just go look in the mirror. He says, I miss seeing your face, and she says, go look in the mirror, and he says, it's not you, it's me wearing you.
Looking out. Yeah. Oh, God, which is a deeply tragic, gives me goosebumps moment. The other thing kind of going along with this perfect lictorhood that they think this cracks me up. They think that they are correct. I was really proud and impressed again that they think that the resurrection beast number 7 is parked in orbit. That is true. And they said that they think it's there for Pyrrha and maybe for Camilla and Palamedes. And I was like, neither.
Nope, not there for either one of them.
They don't know anything about Nona yet. They're going back and forth on whose body and who's possessing it. And I don't know when they're gonna... They did float the idea that it's Harrow's body, but they weren't sure.
Yeah, they're still not sure, like, whose body it is. I think they're going to be confused on this for a while. Maybe not that bad. I think it's, like, pretty soon that Nona's body gets described. And then they'll be like, oh, so this is Harrow's body.
Yes, it's possible. It also is described by Nona, who thinks she's gorgeous in this very, like, peculiar way that is funny. And it also, Tamsin loves a clue, right? So, like, even in this one, they talk about how she only gets a haircut every, like, 4th haircut day. Because her hair grows so fucking fast.
Her hair grows so fast, so they just keep it long because it's easier to, like, not pay attention.
I think we should talk about Nona properly next week. We're going to learn a lot about Nona next week. But I want to bring up something that I thought was interesting that you brought up that I just think is so lovely, that the first sentence of this Nona part, this like late in the year of nobody she really thought about that much in particular, it does mirror the other ones. But I also, to me, it's interesting because it suggests that she does think about that somebody occasionally. She doesn't think about them that much, but it makes me wonder like how much of Alecto remembering Jod is in there.
Like, we're not going to talk that much about Nona, but you do have a note here about, like, who is Nona? Is she Gideon and Harrow and Alecto? I truly think that it's not really any part of Gideon or any part of Harrow. I don't think that they are in there at all. I think that it is purely the parts of Alecto that are not the fury, that are not the anger, that are not the retribution. Like, this is, like, if you were to say, like, Gaia versus Alecto, this is Gaia.
Yes. I love that interpretation. This is the part that loves everything indiscriminately, even when it hurts her. And I love that a lot. I also agree. So because I was inspired by you in the way that you read Harrow the Ninth and went through and found all the little Gideon moments poking through, I've been doing that here and I can find almost no Gideon or Harrow moments. So I agree with you. I think there's a chance that there is some degree of like merging that's happening, but I think that this is like 98+% Alecto. And in contrast, actually, in the dream, the other thing I've been doing is going through and seeing moments that sound to me like Harrowhark versus sounding like Nona, basically, sounding like Alecto. So, for example, any of the I Still Love You is just like clearly a Nona. But the other one I noticed in this chapter was that she likes the word corpus. It sounds nice and fat. And Nona has this love for some weird, she'll be like, I love his stubble. It's nice and scritchy. She likes the way certain things sound and feel in a way that's not totally typical. So that to me sounded like Nona again.
I think in the dream, it's really interesting and we need to start paying attention to where there are quotations. There's only one thing that has quotations and it's at the end where he says, you always say that, Harrowhark. And so I think that this refers to what parts are actually Alecto's memories of what happened that Harrow is experiencing, but it's this weird kind of dream space where John is visiting those memories as well. Because John is in there with Alecto because they are perfect lictorhood. So there has to be a part of John that understands that Harrow is now attached to Alecto, or that he can feel Harrow's soul somewhere rubbing up in there. Because now that Harrow has basically used her link to the body to basically, that is where her soul is kind of in suspension. She is living through the memories of Alecto. And John giving these, like this time afterwards where John is talking to Alecto. And there will be certain times when there are things in quotations. And I think those are John and Harrow talking back and forth.
That's really interesting. So one of the things that I ended up marking in several of these chapters were instances where the she who is listening asks questions. And to me, that reads as Harrow, because that's like a very human thing to do, to try and fill the silence, is to ask a bunch of questions, you know, like Brooke meeting a stranger. In contrast, I feel like Alecto would have just stood there and listened. So I like the idea that like you're experiencing this memory of something that actually happened, and then the only one who needs clarification on anything is Harrow, because she's the only one who wasn't there and didn't know any parts of it.
But I think there's a part of it too where it's like Nona likes being told a story. she wants
This
Cam.
is true. She does like a story.
Like it sounds a lot like her asking Cam for the bedtime story. And she says, well, then is this when this happened? Is that when that happened? So to me, I still read it as Nona / Electo asking questions because she likes hearing the story. She knew what happened, but she likes being told a story.
All right, I'll buy that for sure. Because especially this is a great example. The bedtime story is she likes being told a story about her even. So it doesn't even matter if she knows the details. That's a great point. All right. The other thing that I think is really fabulous actually is John's personality coming through in this in little ways. So he talks about how C was on our side before the first year was over. To me, this is such an obvious example of how John is all about picking sides, choosing which line to stand on. And it's about being on my team. It's not about C always cared most about you, or, you know, like it could have been a totally different phrasing. The other thing that he says is no one knowingly left behind, which is such an obvious caveat. Like what a weird, you could just say no one left behind. And in contrast, there's these really nice parallels between what happens in the John chapters and what's happening on New Row. And one of them here is that we get back to back. John says no one knowingly left behind, and Palamedes counts all the people, thinks about everyone who's in each place, and says we refuse to leave any of them behind. Yep. And it's almost identical, but there's something about it that feels very different. Yeah.
Well, one of them is like lawyerly, like you can't blame me. I tried everything that I could. This is like thinking about what it looks like rather than what the actions are.
And this goes to our thought that like he doesn't want the story out. He wants to control the narrative. He wants just that no one should blame me. No one can blame you, Harrow, for what your parents did. And what he's really saying is no one can blame me for that time I nuked the earth. Yep. So the other thing that I think is really interesting is G always feels like an afterthought, even though he's part of like the original team. And as you said, they loan him out to go talk about like coding on the ship project, which means that he is some sort of engineer, even potentially some sort of like rocket engineer.
Right.
But he never gets talked about like he's smart. He's just like a background. He's like, he's my friend from childhood.
He's my friend from childhood. And he like basically will do whatever I say and essentially die for me. And he does get asked that. Like he's the first one who essentially gets asked to do that.
Yeah.
I do think it's really interesting that the names are still redacted. And that feels a little bit like the names are redacted because it's like I always get confused with this because that's a Victorian novel thing to have redacted names because you are supposed to slot in whoever you think it would be, right? Like the idea, I think,
it's a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, I think the idea was is when I looked this up of like, why did Victorian novels do that? They took out place names and names of people and stuff so that you could imagine what it should be, right? But that you weren't being directly told what it was supposed to be. And so I think that it does the same thing here where it's like, you know who A is, you know who M is, you know who C is, but you might be thrown off a little bit if the name was different.
And it's also, yes, you absolutely would be, because those names, those pre-resurrection names are not the same ones that he gave. Yeah. It's not Augustine and Mercy Morn. It's going to be fucking Mary and yeah.
It could also be something where since it is Harrowhark listening to Electo's memories, they literally are a little bit redacted. Or maybe if Electo is hearing the memory, she hears, A, like the actual name. And if Harrow is hearing the memory, she hears Augustine.
I love that a lot, actually. I don't want to go too deep into Nona's own dreams that she's narrating to Cam, and maybe we can do that with all of them together at the end, try and like glean some meaning. There's little bits and pieces here that are interesting, but one thing I love
that John picked up that it was the pool scene. I was like, fuck yes, John. Yes, it is.
And that was immediately after Brooke said the words "the tomb," which was what I thought of in the safe water. So I fucking loved, this is the same thing where both things are true. Tamsin loves a yes and, like that it's not one or the other, that all of these things sort of are one simultaneous moment of connection and they're all meaningful.
And it's also nice that at the same, like that it comes basically, you're getting the introduction to Nona's dreams right after you've heard about Harrow's dreams, because Harrow's dreams are Alecto's memories and dreams of John, and Nona's dreams are Harrow's memories of Gideon.
I like that a lot. I like that, but it's also, the painted faces on top of me is interesting because that's Alecto seeing Harrow. The painted face has to be
Gideon
Harrow.
had a painted face.
That's true. That's true.
The thing that where she's not sure of of whose hands are whose and like what's going on is because she was like, oh, they're her hands. They're Harrow's hands. Oh no, they're my hands, because she's in Harrow's body. Like when she's experiencing the dream, she's experiencing it as Harrow. So this is where like the whole pronoun thing. So you think this is
literal? You think this is literally that moment at Canaan House? This is not anything else about. I mean, because some of her, I guess, Alecto's narration of what's happening is coming through. Harrow wouldn't call it safe water; she'd call it salt water. But for Alecto, salt water is the safe water.
The painted face is on top of me. I'm in the safe water. Okay, that's for Nona. That's salt water. I'm lying down. I think something's pushing at me. The water goes over my head and it's in the mouth. It goes up my nose. It doesn't hurt. I like it. I like the water. I like her hands. Harrow at that moment was feeling, so it's like both, I think, the way that Nona feels about it and the way that Harrow feels about it. Because Harrow isn't feeling panic at that moment. She's feeling acceptance and peace. It's only at the moment that she realizes that Gideon is hugging her and not drowning her
that she starts to struggle.
And
no,
thrash.
I remember that. So I love this. I also think that there's something, I still think there's like a second layer here.
Oh, I think there's a second layer.
It can't just be the specific, memory. Because part of this actually, Cam like asks if it hurts when it goes up her nose. And she says no, she likes the water. And that actually weirdly reminded me of the first time Harrow's in the river, with just like allowing herself to breathe in the water there. There's a lot happening here. Okay. I want to just like hit Pyrrha and Pal's conversation a little bit. I think mostly, but partially because I want to like help to reorient and clarify for our listeners, because Brooke and John did such a good job with the things that they could, but there's so much that they just don't understand about this situation, right? Yeah. Like they floated a number of things, but what's happening here is that all of these people are refugees who have been pushed out of their homes by the 9 houses, by the cohort, who have all been pushed into this space. And Blood of Eden, I think they're right, is like a niche kind of guerrilla warfare militia wing that not everyone is part of, and that had really good propaganda and maybe doesn't have as good propaganda anymore. Yep. And they have they've laid siege to the barracks, which was a group of cohort people. The people in there may be dead. They talk about whether there's 200 or maybe even just 2. Pal doesn't care how many are left. It still matters to him that they get out. And we know that many of those people are going to be necromancers who are undergoing the blue madness from having the resurrection beast nearby. And then separately, they talk about the 16, which, of course, Brooke and John kind of skimmed over and didn't realize. But the 16 is the 6th house delegation. So my understanding is that this search and rescue mission where they keep talking about Site B and Site C has to be them looking for the 16, looking for where they're hidden.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And they don't want to be, so Pyrrha says something about AIF sites first. The closer we get to the barracks to being rumbled that we're searching. So they have a few things going on. They have this pressure of the due date because they're supposed to produce Nona as a lictor at some point to BOE. They have the fact that BOE is also putting siege on the barracks. They're not really on the same side as BOE anymore because they would want to keep the barracks safe and keep all those necromancers safe and like help out the houses. And BOE would be absolutely fuck no, like they can surrender and then we'll kill them. They are searching for the 16, which have gotten kidnapped, even though they came apparently in good faith with negotiation. But the negotiation that they're talking about is not negotiation with the 6th house. It's negotiation with the emperor and the 9 houses. So
yes. And the reason that that Blood of Eden hasn't made any new inroads on the barracks is that in order to negotiate with the emperor, what they're trading is both the 16, that 6th house delegation, and anybody left in the barracks. So if they were going in there murdering people, it would look bad. Whereas if they just literally lay siege to it and let them slowly starve, that's a perfectly acceptable way of like forcing the Emperor's hand.
I think that Mervwing's got the glue. I think Mervwing has aim.
Interesting.
Because I think that was like the whole, but Mervwing doesn't have aim, right? Like aim was part of,
Aim's definitely not part of Tessaphon, though. I feel like aim is above these petty factions.
But when they call like an extraction team when everything goes to shit at the end, it's Mervwing that comes to pull aim out. So I think
I agree with you on that for sure.
This is the only time, like, I always kind of glossed past the glue, but I think that that's the glue. I think the glue is aim.
I really, really like that as the glue. I really like that a lot. And you're absolutely right that they are in charge of protecting aim. I also think the other thing that Mervwing actually has is those 16. So they also do have the biggest leverage chip because they have the 6th house delegation. The thing that's fucking bizarre, of course, is a way out, which is italicized in the text. So it's important. And it makes me wonder, I mean, I think we're just going to have to like come back to this. I think we'll know a lot more once we know what AIM and MSN are, because it's important to them and important and useful and in some way meaningful. And I wonder if that contributes to this being a way out.
Yeah. Yeah. A way out. I'm still in the whole time loop thing. So I still am on this thing that AIM and the message is like where the billionaires are going to pop out.
Is the coordinates? I fucking love that. That is glorious. Obsessed with that. Huge fan.
I have one more thing that we have to put in here and we have to keep tabs on because it does come up super important later on when Nona's like, can't you hear her? Pyrrha's telling us that everything's fine. So we need to start keeping track of their code words.
Great idea.
So the code words that we hear this time is that all scatter is the lowdown and all clear is dead weight. And Pyrrha very definitely uses dead weight in that radio message, that overheard message. That
I'm
Nona
so glad you're
interprets.
doing this. And next episode, we'll get a couple of other words, things for like, how fun.
Important resource, etc.
Yep. I also, sorry. It's, oh God, Pyrrha and the cigarettes for me. I really like,
I know, I love
get it.
Pyrrha, like fit, because fish hook is for important resource, but we stopped using that one because Pyrrha kept using it for alcohol and cigarettes.
Some things are important. I mean, literally Cam ends up selling those cigarettes and they get food out of it. So maybe important was correct.
Exactly.
Act 6. See you next time, my little nunlets. Well, it looks like we're headed out into the heat, but we will be back next week to run through Nona the Ninth chapters 2 through 4. And if you want to follow along with us, our reading calendar is available on our website at frontline5th.podbean.com. And you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok, which are linked in the show notes. If you enjoyed this podcast, please tell your friends and give us a 5-star rating anywhere you can. And of course, if you didn't enjoy the podcast, feel free to lie. We have a Patreon, which you can join for access to bonus content every month. You can become a patron, and oh, do we love our patrons, at patreon.com/frontline5th. And you can check out our merch at our Redbubble store linked in the show notes. Finally, if you have any fun theories you'd like to share with us, feel free to email us at frontline5th@gmail.com. And with that, I'll just remind you not to unlock any tombs or enter any doors without permission because, ghosts. Bye!
Frontline 5th is a Locked Tomb podcast conceived by Maria Adamako and starring Maria Adamako, Hannah Granwald, Brooke Anderson, and John Ryan. Our cover art was designed and created by Maria Adamako, who also edited this episode. Our fabulous music was composed and recorded by Blake Anderson. Sonia Granwald designs our killer merch. Ha! Gorgeous! The Locked Tomb series is a completely dope-ass book series by Tamsin Muir, who does not know we exist and is in no way affiliated with this podcast.